Welcome back to the Friar Talk podcast and YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be doing a little bit of a mailbag session. We haven't done this before, but we definitely like to do this in the future. We brought it up like right at the end of last video. Didn't really give much, time for anyone to really hear that part. So if you didn't notice that we said that, we'll probably do it again. And so we'll make sure that we can do these episodes, especially in the off season too, because like it's going to get a little bit tough for topics. So we'll probably do this at least like once a week in the off season. But Chase, you had one right off the bat that you liked. Do you want to go over that one real quick?
Yeah, the question is, what superstar has disappointed you most down the stretch? And, it's kind of a tough question just because the entire team was, other than yesterday and today, it was like, who wasn't struggling? And, it seems like everybody's bouncing back, But going with that, I know he's not a superstar, but we kind of signed him to a superstar contract, and his kind of whole career has been a disappointment with the Padres. Eric Hosmer. He's kind of just been there. He doesn't deserve the money he's made. He starts to make adjustments, and then he just loses it. It looks like he'll get better defensively with the glove, and then just absolutely forget how to play first base for like another 3 weeks before he does anything positive in a defensive light. Yesterday, he went 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts, and his batting average has now dropped to 266, and he has a 724 OPS, which I think the only one with the lower OPS is Marisnik, who doesn't play all that often. Nola, but he went 3 for 3 yesterday. Pham
Caratini does.
Caratini is like a platoon player, though, so I'll cut him some slack there. Pham has a 720 average, and Profar was hurt for the beginning or for a lot of the year. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty easy answer for me. It's going to be Eric Hosmer.
Okay. The one thing that I would bring up for Hosmer is I wasn't expecting much this year. But for career, I'm 100% with you because his career in the Padres has not been good. It's been – I was excited when they signed him. That sucks. Like, that's not – it hasn't been exciting. I'm going to have to go with a guy that we definitely – I still have faith in him, but there needs to be some serious adjustments, I think, made to his game because he is ultra inconsistent. And he's a great fielder. My guy's Trent Grisham, and it sucks to say that because, not long ago he was doing – like early in the year, he was looking great. Like I remember like a month or so into the year, it had been since 2020 into 2021, he was a top 10 player in WAR. Like just great stats, and it was like, damn, that was what a move. I remember it was like this was like a week ago. The last 200 at bats, he had under a 500 OPS. Someone mentioned this. It was either on Twitter or in the YouTube comments. Under a 500 OPS, hitting 200 for 200 at bats. Right now, his numbers have dropped drastically to what they were early on in the year. He's hitting 238. This is before today. 238, 323 on base. So that's not terrible, but I want him to be a lot higher. I think he's capable of being like a 340, 350 OPS kind of guy. In his rookie year, he was 328. So he was even better in his rookie year than he was here. And that year, like he hit 230. Like he didn't do very good. But then his OPS now is 730. And so it seems like he took a step forward last year, and this year has just taken a step right back, and it pretty much has put up the same numbers as he did as a rookie. And he should be getting better opposed to, going back to his rookie year numbers. So I'm a little bit concerned about it. I still think he's a quality player because he's such a great fielder, but you can't have a 7, like you're saying, you can't have low 700 OPS. It's like you need guys like this, especially him. I think he's very capable of becoming like an 800 OPS guy, but that has not been the case this year, and he's not been the guy that I thought that he was capable of this year. So that'd be my answer to that guy.
There's one thing that's bugging me about Grish's whole season, and it was when he first came back from injury, he was super high, and then he kind of dealt with that healed bruise, and he really hasn't been the same since the healed bruise, or the bruise heal. It was like brutal. I wonder if there's still some like lingering effects onto it, maybe for him running or like planting the foot, because he does have that little leg kick for his swing. So maybe he's not comfortable at the plate. Maybe he's dealing with some lingering injuries that we don't know about. It's kind of going unreported just because it's something minor. But we saw with like Tatis, his shoulder, like when he first comes back and he's not completely comfortable with the shoulder, he struggles a little bit. Myers with that chip in his elbow for his first couple of years as a Padre. We saw him go out with that a few times. We saw Machado this year. We all kind of knew like he had a shoulder issue, but it was never really addressed in the media or to the fans in like a big spotlight. And so we're all like, wow, Manny Machado's power is gone. And it's not really until like, he addressed it, like, yeah, my shoulder's still not 100%. And then we saw as the season continued on, his power started to come back more and more and more. Fan with his eyes. Like we don't know about all this stuff. So I wonder if there is something with Grisham that is not being said to the public.
Yeah, that definitely could be the case. For my next question here, who should the Padres' next manager be if Jace Tingler is fired? What do you think, Chase?
You guys know my answer. I like Ron Washington a lot. I just feel like since he's been on the Braves, he was kind of there when they were not that good of a team. And when they started to build up the team with a bunch of younger guys, and you kind of see them almost year in and year out, even without the starting pitching or with the starting pitching problems they have, guys, they've lost a lot of pitchers, just like we have. But they are, let's see, they're right around we are. They have 2 games less played, but we don't see the problems that they do with like the bullpen. Like they have a worse bullpen than us. They have a worse starting rotation than us, and they have the same amount of wins. And they've lost Acuna for the entire year. So you know what? I wouldn't put that entirely on the manager. That's a pretty good team, but Ron Washington has been around that team. He's been around a winning culture for the last couple seasons. Sure, they haven't made it far in playoffs, but he's definitely had more experience with a winning team and in playoffs than Jace Tingler has.
Yeah, I think that we really would like a guy that's like a manager that's very experienced. Ron Washington absolutely checks that box. Another guy that I've seen brought up a ton, and I think it'd be super cool. I'm not expecting it to happen, but it would be really cool if Bochy came back. That'd be sick. I think a lot of people would really like that idea. I think the fan base would really get behind them. I think that would be a positive move, but I don't think that Bochy's trying to come back. I really don't. So another guy to maybe bring up there. But let's see. I had a couple other ones. Is sticky stuff ban the problem for you? He was nasty pre-All-Star break, but it seems very hittable now. I think it's hard to tell because he's been dealing with injuries. His velocity is way down, but at the same time, it feels like his pitches don't have the spin rate that they have on them. I don't know the exact numbers on that, but like just watching him, it doesn't feel like he has the movement that he did before. So either way, I think it's a combination of the two. I think that we should definitely – I don't think we should expect like, all right, Yu Darvish is done. He's just going to be this 8 ERA guy post-sticky stuff. I don't think that's the case because this happened in the middle of the year, no preparation, and then he got hurt. So he's been pitching hurt, not really able to adjust as is, and his velocity is down. Very likely that he finds a way to make adjustments over the offseason and gets better with the sticky stuff and also at the same time gets healthy. So I think it's a combination of those two things. And I do think that he'll be better next year, but I don't think he's going to improve this season. I think this is what he's going to be for the rest of the year, just because clearly there's a couple of things wrong, I think. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. It's kind of a combination of both things. Like lower back injuries are always bad. I think he dealt with some elbow problems too. It's just one of those things where there's always next season for the guy. You got to let him make adjustments in the off season. Probably start trying to figure out some different grips for that because you know what? Sometimes that's just like a minor adjustment that needs to be made, but you can't really do that at this point of the season. You might as well just roll with the stuff you have in hopes that, hey, it gets the guy out. Yeah, it's just the way that the MLB handled the sticky stuff situation hasn't been the best. We'll probably see some new rules being implemented in the offseason too. And once pitchers, once those rules get out, once the MLB figure out what they want to do with the whole situation, if they introduce a new legalized substance so that pitchers can grip the ball better or whatever they decide to do, the pitchers will have an entire offseason to prepare for it. And I think that's where we need to go and just kind of focus on that for Yu Darvish, just because if he does make an adjustment, it's going to be like in his last start at this point, because I think he's only got like 2, maybe 3 more left. And that's if he doesn't, have a lingering problem that causes him to miss a little more time.
It's a pretty tough spot for you. So final question, not really a question, but it was brought up by multiple people. I saw there was some discussions in it, and then there also was like not exactly this question, but people referencing it when they were talking about Tingler. And I don't think this is an excuse for Tingler for at least the majority of people. But they're asking like, hey, what's up with the front office? What's up with Ron Fowler having, doing this, doing that? Even AJ Preller questions, just really about the front office and not about Tingler. One, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ron Fowler has nothing to do with baseball operations anymore, correct? Like, wasn't he removed of that this offseason?
I'm pretty sure he was. I think I remember seeing that.
Or at least his role was reduced where he's not like a person like in a like high seat that's really making the decisions. Like he's not like one of those big decision makers like he was when Eric Hosmer was signed, because that was the guy that was banging the table for him. That's been like what's been kind of leaked, it seems like.
Yeah.
I think that's a positive move. I think the biggest issue isn't, I don't think it's necessarily like ownership, because it seems like for the most part, Seidler, like he's trying to win and they're spending, but they can only spend like so much. Like they really can. Like they're a smaller market team. You guys got to remember that. Like they do not have the funds of these other teams. They're still spending more than anyone would have expected. Like imagine you're like, hey, this is like what the Padres have on their payroll for the next, throughout Fernando Tatis's contract, and we'll look at these numbers as they unfold. But I expect them to be very high. And if you would have said that to people in 2012, no one would have believed you. That would have been a joke. So I don't think it's on the ownership. Like that's what they're doing. Now I will say this: their player development hasn't been very good. However, lately we've been talking about it. All of the minor leaguers have been balling out for the last couple months. Like they have been doing across the board phenomenal for so many guys. So maybe there's been improvements made in that department. Like I don't think anyone listening is knowing like who's in and out of like random like development spots throughout this organization. Like we know, people know the head names and whatnot, but there could be a lot of other moves, adding staff and stuff. I still feel like they're lacking in a lot of those spots though. Like we can look at that, but I don't know if that like truly tells it. So I think the biggest thing is in terms of not scouting, because we've seen the AJ Preller does a phenomenal job with that. Not necessarily the ownership, because they're spending money, but they need to. I think there needs to be an effort made to improve the staff, and that might require a little bit more money. In all honesty, I would rather have them put the organization's money there than even into the payroll, because I think the benefits from that are so much more. I mean, we see teams like the Rays. I don't know how the Rays make any money. They average 4,000 people at their games. I don't know how they make money. I mean, I guess they have like no payroll, but they still develop players. They still have tons of talent. So there's other ways to do it than just buying players and overpaying free agents in times, like, because that's a lot of times that's what the free agent market is. So if you can develop these players, you can save a lot and you can become a way better team, a way better organization top to bottom. So that's what I think the biggest issue is, in my opinion.
That is the biggest issue. Like we can develop the guys in the minor leagues, but the moment they step up to the major leagues, they can't develop them into these superstars. Like the only one that really has been is Fernando Tatis. We traded for Grisham after, the whole playoff era that kind of ruined his Brewers career. Cronenworth came to us and practically started right away. Myers was coming off of like a rookie of the year performance, and we traded for Tommy Pham. Like and we signed Manny Machado. We didn't develop any of these guys, and the guys that we have developed are like, oh, cool, Austin Hedges, a great defensive player, can't hit his weight with the bat. Francisco Mejia is doing good now, but he's with the Rays. Hunter Renfroe is having a really good year with Boston, but not for us. Margot's had some pretty solid years with the Rays. He always showed that he had like some potential, but with the way that the Padres hitting coach and the hitting staff is just like non-existent. Our pitchers struggle, our starting pitchers struggle. We've had some injuries from like our rookie pitchers, so they're like Mortejon looked like he was going to come around this year, but we couldn't see that because of an injury, unfortunately. Paddock's sophomore slump was something to behold. Even then this year, he still was slumping through it. Patino was struggling with the Padres, and he's had some really good starts for the Rays. I mean, I can just go down a list of guys that we've had that are like top end talents in the farm system, but they come up
You
for
didn't
us.
say my guy, Cal.
Who was your guy? Oh yeah, Cal Quantrill. My God. Well, he was doing good with the Padres. Like,
yeah, he just shouldn't have been moved.
He shouldn't have been moved, but he was doing really good with the Padres. Like, the only thing that I think the Padres didn't do well is they didn't stick him into one defined role.
But he was still doing good.
He was still doing good. But I mean, look
like
what happened. As I say, look what happened when the Indians were like, "This is your role. You're going to be a starter." And guess what? He's like one of the best starters in the AL right now. He had probably the most dominant like July to early August we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then
dude, there's so many guys. It's crazy.
Yeah. Josh Naylor, Franmil was a pretty solid MLB player. Josh Naylor never really got the time, but we all saw that he had all the talent in the world. And damn, he was killing it for the Indians. I remember we were watching one of the postseason games, and Naylor was lighting up Garrett Cole like there was no tomorrow. And, you know, we see all these things, and we're just like, why can't the Padres do that? But then you look at the coaching staff. One hitting coach, one pitching coach. We have evolved from the 80s and 90s ways of baseball where that may have been acceptable. We need to start getting more into the analytics, hiring more hitting coaches and hiring more pitching coaches so that they can get one-on-one times with these coaches and find the problem probably a little bit more easier when there's not, 13 pitchers going to the same pitching coach trying to all figure out a problem, or 12 position players going to one hitting coach.
It also hurt that coach is Larry Rothschild as well.
Yeah, so it's just like the Padres, they have all the talent in the farm system. The players are doing great. Hassel has been killing it this season. There's so many guys I can mention that they have been really killing it this season. But most of them are hitters. What pitcher has really
like all of them?
Year? Yeah, almost all of them are hitters. Every time we talk about this, we're like, Justin Lange had a really hot start to the season. Now he has like a 6 ERA. Adrian Martinez had a really good start in AAA in his last time. Gore has struggled. Ethan Elliott, he's been pretty solid. He was hurt a couple of times. I haven't really checked on Reggie Lawson recently because he was still only throwing like 2-inning stints coming back from injury. But you look at the rest of the guys, and you look at the standings and the win-loss ratio to all the minor league teams. It's not good. It's not good, and you can look at it and be like, this is a pitching problem. We can't develop our pitchers right now.
Yeah, it does feel like even like the guys that come up to the league, like you brought up like Naylor and like Friend-Meal, like there's guys you bring up, it's like, well, they were good. Like they were hitting. Even Renfroe. Yeah. Now, Renfroe, I feel like I feel like I haven't watched him that much, but like I feel like he had to have changed his approach to make some of the improvements he's made, because his approach was awful. And he would strike out so much and he never walked. It also helps that they put him he's in left or is he in right now? I know he has like 12 or he has like 15 outfield assists or something insane. I guess he kind of does both, but I feel like he's usually in right, I want to say. I don't remember, but I know he just has been throwing guys out all year.
It's kind of from everywhere.
Yeah, like I was thinking, I was like, well, I
We've
saw
seen
him
a
in right
couple on
once.
left.
Yeah. But he's, I
Yeah,
mean,
the
I
the
don't
one
know.
where we threw out Margot at second.
That was nice.
Then dude, he single handedly won the Red Sox a game, and we've seen it. You know, his like ninth inning clutch home runs, but we couldn't get him
He
to be
is
anything more
clutch.
than
Yeah. So who do you think a lot of this is on? Is that like you think this is a Preller thing? I mean, I mentioned that ownership, like they've been spending the money, but if they're not spending the money here, if they're not hiring the right people, that's on them too. I don't really know who to like blame, I guess, but I think that is the Padres' fundamental flaw right now of their organization. I think that's the biggest issue. Because I saw some people commenting about it saying like, I don't know, I feel like they felt that us saying like that we should fire Tingler means like it's just like a band-aid, like putting like the band-aid over the problem. But we don't think that's just gonna fix it. I think there's other issues here. I think eventually they can
no.
be fixed. I think they can definitely be improved. Like organizations get the right guys in, but I think that's the biggest, that and maybe freeing up some cash this offseason, I think are the two biggest things.
Yeah, I think that is like sure you can get rid of Tingler, you can get rid of Rothschild, but they're not necessarily just going to fix the problem. Sure, having a better pitching coach than Larry Rothschild helps the veterans and the bullpen guys that, hey, maybe they just need to really work on something really minute. But then when you start getting to the new guys into the league that they're facing a higher level talent than they've ever faced before, that it's a really big jump from the minor leagues to the major leagues, especially for a pitcher, because you're facing guys that have been doing this for years and then have been facing the Scherzers, the Kershaws, the Garrett Coles, the Joe Musgroves, like all of these guys that are on top of the world of talent. They're going to get rocked. And we've seen it. A lot of new guys really struggle when they come into the league. And when you don't, one, give them the reps that they need in the MLB, and two, kind of the help that they do need to adjust to the major league level, they're going to fail. And we kind of seen it this season and, from previous seasons. And you know what? We really need to do something about our lack of player development for pitchers. We have been somewhat successful with the hitters. It's just they never play the rookies as much as they should if they really want them to succeed at the major league level.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's going to do it for today's episode, though. Kind of went for a while. We only talked about 3 topics, so we'll probably be way quicker in future episodes with the mailbag stuff. But like they're big discussions, especially this last one. We've talked like for like 12, 14 minutes. But I think it's huge. I mean, talking about like what's the big flaw. So definitely I want to hear what you guys think too. I mean, if you guys think firing Tingler is gonna fix it, like let us know why you think that. If you haven't checked out the Fire Tingler episode, we also did one. Padres playoff hopes are over. I hope you all know that we're not hoping that's the case. It's just what we think. We'll also talk about, we're going to do a live stream, I think tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about, where this team's at. They just won 2 games, how they've been hot. Can that carry over? And then we'll talk, we'll be kind of positive, and then we'll probably get a little sad when we bring up the starters for the Cardinal series. But hopefully the offense gets going, because this has been like the best 2 days of offense in quite some time. So I'm very happy right now for the last couple of days at least. But definitely some serious concerns, no doubt. And I still think that extremely unlikely that the Padres make the playoffs. I don't think that they just don't have the arms, unfortunately. But hopefully I'm wrong. I hope there's some of you that think I'm wrong. So that's going to do it for today, though. And we will talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully go live. Chase, was there anything else you wanted to add before we take off?
I want to see Vince Velasquez absolutely come out here and dominate in a Padres uniform. I feel like if anything saves our season, it would be like Vince Velasquez just coming out and being like the next coming of Nolan Ryan, just randomly. It would be insane to see. Very, very unlikely. But if he could do that, it would probably be the most clutch signing in Padres history.
That would be pretty sick. He's going against a guy that's not that great. He's on Friday, right?
I believe so. He's supposed to start off the Cardinal series. Yeah.
All right.
Against Rick McCullis.
All right. Well, sweet. All right. Well, we'll talk about him too tomorrow. But that's going to do it for today. And we'll talk to you guys then.